Hey everybody, and welcome to another edition of Craft Brewed Sports. It's Wednesday night, it's time to pop a beer. Join in for the drunkest sports takes around. I am Mike, hanging out with me as always, my main man Scott. Scott, how you feeling tonight?
Pretty good, back for another week. How you doing?
Doing great, man, doing great. Ready to drink some good beer and answer everybody's questions. Also, as always with us tonight, Drew, Mookie. How you feeling, Mookie?
I'm feeling good and ready to roll. Let's get to some of these questions.
There are a ton of good questions that we got for this show. Like, insane. We got bombarded with questions from you guys, so thank you all for tweeting at us, texting us. We got a voicemail message that we got as well. There are tons of people sliding into these DMs, these questions. So we'll get to all of those throughout the show. We're going to talk. You know what? I don't even want. We'll get into those because there's just so much to get into.
It's a surprising level of quality for such a mediocre group. So I'm very impressed with the way everyone stepped up tonight. I just hope that we do our job and disappoint properly.
Well, and that's exactly what we'll do because that's what we do. Mediocre responses for mediocre people.
You two white breads speak for yourself.
I prefer Wonder Bread. Thank you very much.
I wouldn't give you the highest quality of white bread. Let's pump the brakes.
You're like great value.
You might be Kroger brand honey wheat.
I'm proud. I would be proud to be that kind of brand.
Well, thank you all for tuning in. Please be sure to hit that share button. Help us out. Make sure your friends are seeing the stream. Make sure they're available to see all these ridiculous answers that we got for all of your sweet questions. Be sure to comment below what you're drinking tonight. We want to know what's in your cup as we tell you what's in ours. And this is First Pour, brought to you, as always, by Dugout Mugs. We got the hookup for you, everybody. New link, dugoutmugs.com/craft. Much simpler. That's going to get you 15% off. The people at Dugout Mugs were like, you guys have been with us for a year now. You've supported us. You've mentioned us on every single episode. So we're going to help you out, help the people that listen to your show out. We're going to bump you up from 10% to 15%. So use that link, dugoutmugs.com/craft, and get 15% off your entire order. No code.
Except for if you're going to order Yankees, don't bother. You're not getting anything off of it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Don't use it for a Yankees mug. We don't want to see any of that. But use it for anything else. This week, we are drinking a Goonies-inspired beer, Never Say Die, from Imagination Brewing in Missoula, Montana. Not really the place you think of when you think mecca of craft beer, but this is apparently an up-and-coming brewery, Imagination. The flavor profile, they say it's kind of interesting. They say it's a West Coast and an East Coast style IPA. Tons of hops, gives you pineapple, citrus, and resin flavors, and a hazy and pillowy soft mouthfeel. So you get the best of both worlds when it comes to IPAs. You get that hoppy West Coast style, but you also get that kind of hazy Northeast style. Drew, what do you think of this one?
Oh, I'm super excited. I just cracked it, took a quick sniff. It smells fantastic, man. This is gonna be a great one. I can already tell.
Does your mug still smell like last week?
Not as much. I can still pick up some of that like cinnamon and chocolate from like 2 weeks ago, but no, I'm looking forward to this one. This one's gonna be great.
Scott, what do you think of this one so far?
They should have called it Middle of Nowhere IPA if they were going to go Midwest Montana with it and do the West Coast, East Coast thing. But no, this is pretty solid. I'm surprised that there's any breweries in Montana that can ship out beer because what the hell else is in Montana?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I also didn't know that Missoula, Montana was a place. So, good for them. I dig the fact that this is a little homage to one of my favorite movies from the 80s, Goonies. Goonies might be the only action movie I've ever seen. Is that bad?
You consider Goonies an action movie?
You don't? What about Goonies is not an action movie?
The part where there's not much action?
What?
Yeah.
There's all kinds of booby traps. They're running away from bad guys.
The truffle shuffle isn't action. Like what? They're running from bad guys.
It's legendary.
We'll see how Never Say Die holds up throughout this show. This is First Pour, brought to you by Dugout Mugs. Again, dugoutmugs.com/craft. Get 15% off your entire order.
Sell out.
Thank you, Joe, for hitting us up with that one. Appreciate that. Wait, so you guys don't think The Goonies is an action movie? What would you classify?
No.
What would you classify it as then?
I would classify it as a coming of age movie.
That is the perfect way to sum that up, Scott.
Like,
That is
there's no way
100% accurate.
There's no way that it's in the action section though. Like seriously, I don't know what type of genre it fits in, but action is not one that comes to mind.
I would say youth action is what that should be classified as. A youth action movie.
No,
Yes.
we're just making up sections. It had to exist. It had to
Youth
exist
action.
at Blockbuster for it to be a section. Youth action.
Meanwhile, somewhere Joe's going, "What's a blockbuster?"
Robert Taylor drinking the bakery by the brewery. That's a fantastic beer. And Matt Barr doing what he always does, crushing some Natter Days like the champ that he is. He's probably washing it down with some peanut butter whiskey because that's what Matt Barr does on a Wednesday night.
Hold on now. I got a story for our boy Matt Barr. I don't know if I told him the show previously, but I know I told you, Sherm, in a different conversation. 2 or 3 weeks ago, we got our delivery order, our grocery order, and like almost every time we put on a rack of Natter Days because you always got to keep that stocked, right? Well, bless this lady's heart, our Instacart driver was so apologetic. She goes, "They didn't have any left, so I grabbed what I could. I'm so sorry." And I'm like, "Totally fine, no worries. Like that is not the biggest concern in life right now." Well, she says this as she's carrying a 6-pack of Tall Boy Natter Days up. I was like, it's something. And then I go in, start wiping stuff down, whatever. And she keeps coming back from the car. And by the end of it, I realized she grabbed us 5 6-packs of Tall Boy Natter Days.
Oh,
So
man.
somehow, instead of a 30 rack of regular cans, we ended up with 30 Tall Boy Natter Days. And I'm like, you know what? You done well. You done very, very well. So, Matt, I feel like you could appreciate that. Wanted to share that one out. Shout out to, I don't even remember her name. I feel terrible, but we tipped her real well because,
that is fantastic.
That's great, but more importantly, Chris America has pointed out that Goonies isn't as action-packed as Three Ninjas, and if ever there was going to be a youth action movie, it would be Three Ninjas. Chris America
yes.
for the win. Tum just shed all over you.
I love it. If you guys have any questions, be sure to add them in the chat below. Just hit us up, either YouTube, here on Periscope or Facebook Live. Drop your questions below. Let's get to the first question that came through. This is from Sully. He wanted to know, are the Patriots going to tank for Trevor this year? What do you think?
I hope not, because I hate that kid more than anything else. Him and his damn sunshine flowing locks. He can just stay down there with William. Him and William can just stay down there all they want. The last thing I need to see is Bill Belichick continue on his legacy with that clown.
I feel like Bill Belichick is the type of guy that he's too big of an asshole to tank for anybody, regardless of how big the name is. But I feel like there's this conspiracy theory because they didn't pick up a quarterback, they didn't draft one, they're riding with Stidham, that they're going to try to tank to get the next Tom Brady. Do you think that's something Belichick could actually do, Scott?
No, I don't think he has it in him. I mean, he's too competitive. He's too much of an asshole. And if it looked like he was ever going to be in a position to get Trevor, he would put his pedal to the metal and make sure that he didn't. But then he would somehow cheat and move up in the draft and get him anyway. So, I mean, he doesn't have to put himself in a position there record-wise. He'll just make sure that he gets it one way or the other.
That's fair. I think that's the better logical answer here. It's not that they would tank for Trevor. It's that they will just cheat in the draft to move up and get Trevor. Also, do you think, first of all, they're talking about Trevor might not even be the number 1 pick next year. They're saying that Justin Fields might overtake him as the guy in next year's draft.
There's no way.
I don't know, man. He kind of got exposed in that LSU game. Last year in that national championship, Trevor did not look good. So I think it is possible.
That's fine. He's had one bad game, now in 2 years? I mean, I don't get me wrong. I'm sure that between now and the time that he gets drafted, there'll be all sorts of picking him apart and all sorts of things that we haven't seen. But what just happened?
We just lost live video.
Cool.
Yeah, we keep getting disconnected. We're still I'm trying to sort it out on
Now I'm
my
watching
side.
some kid from a refugee camp telling me to donate money to UNICEF. This is going real well tonight, boys.
So is anybody still seeing this, or are we just
Nope.
talking to each other?
Just
Nah,
straight gone.
it keeps popping in and out. We keep getting disconnected and coming back on, and I'm trying to work on it from my side. We still got people though tuning in
I'm
here.
not sure how, but this is Facebook's fault.
All right, let's see. Let's see what the next question is that we got lined up for tonight. The next question that came in. This was an anonymous text that came in. Tom Brady, Phillip Rivers, Drew Brees, and Ben Roethlisberger. They're all getting up there in age. All of them are on 2 or 1 year contracts. Which one is the first one to retire? Scott, who do you got?
Ben.
You think Ben's the first one to go?
Yeah, because he's been the most beaten up of all of them. The rest of them haven't been touched for most of their career, and the league will protect them to the very end. Ben is kind of that bastardized child of that group where it's just like, yeah, he's been a name and he's done his thing, but last year he was mostly non-existent and out hurt, and they can do without him. But the other ones, they're the cash cows, and they won't let them get touched. So I think Ben is the first one of that group to go.
I'd be interested if he's the first one to go, and the reason why I say that is, I mean, we know Brady's going to go 2 years. You know, he's definitely, like, he's already said he wants to go till he's 45. He signed that 2-year contract with Tampa Bay. I think he stays there. Rivers, he's on a 2-year contract in Indy. Maybe he goes out full time, but Breeze is the one that I'm questioning. You're laughing at that, Drew? You don't think?
No, dude, I forgot Rivers was in Indianapolis. I completely forgot about that. That's why I'm laughing. Sorry, Mike. You can finish with the take.
No,
like,
but I
oh,
think
God.
I think out of those names, I would put it between Rivers and Breeze as the first ones to go, rather than Roethlisberger.
I
They
think
don't
Breeze
have.
goes first. I think Breeze goes first. He's got a gig already lined up, man.
Well,
I
that's
feel like
the
he's
other
got
thing.
an eye on the transition out of the game. You know what I mean? When you're starting to plan what you do after football, I mean, after playing football, you're kind of checking out a little bit. He's probably sitting there just being like, "Listen, Taysom, let me just set you up here, bud. Let me show you the ropes. Make sure I hand this off to you in a solid state." And then he's gonna ride off into the sunset.
I think it's
NBC's
funnier that
desk.
you think Taysom Hill is the one who's going to grab the reins. There's no way that he's the next one after
No,
Breeze.
definitely
No way.
not. He can't be, right? He can't be the one that
Mm-mm.
takes
What are you
over. after
talking
Breeze.
about? Taysom's gonna get himself a $50 million 5-year deal. You kidding me? Haven't
Not
you
from
heard
the
what he's worth?
Saints.
All right, let's get to Matt Barr's question because he's already asked if we've asked his question yet. So, Drew, we'll go to you first on this one. Who is your favorite player, any sport, and what's the one jersey that they could wear that would cause you to absolutely hate them? And we'll break this up 2 categories. We'll start off with current player. Who's your current favorite player, any sport? I'm glad you prepped.
That's tough, man. That's tough because all my teams suck. And so, like, there's really no one I want to, like, hitch my wagon to necessarily. You know, the first one that jumps to mind, and it's a little bit of a deep cut because it's hockey, and so everyone's going to tune out if they haven't already lost our internet connection. But Justin Abdelkader for the Detroit Red Wings, you know, he's a solid guy. He's, you know, very Motown, like, you know, he's a grinder. He'll fight. He'll score a little bit, do a little bit of everything.
Did you just say he's Motown like? Wait,
He's-
what?
Oh yeah,
He's Motown like, but he's a grinder. I'm trying to decipher what the code words are here.
I'm also trying to figure out what his definition of Motown is, because when I think of Motown, I think of, you know, classic R&B from the 70s. So I'm like,
yeah.
how does he fit that mold?
Yeah.
real smooth, real consistent, very entertaining. But at the same time, you cross them, they'll just smack you silly back on the 8 Mile. You know what I mean?
You
8
white
Mile
people
Woodward.
will bastardize anything.
Scott, I started talking about hockey, man. Come on now.
I know, but just taking Motown to just some generic white guy and how he is. Like, come on.
Yo, Motown's Detroit, and Detroit is Motown.
They're 2 separate things. I mean, like, Motown is the nickname of Detroit, but when I think of Motown, I think, you know, the Temptations and, you know, that era.
Which Detroit founded.
Right, but it has
That
nothing
musical
to
style
do.
started in Detroit. They
It has
go hand in
nothing to do
hand.
with their hockey players. Like I've never described any of their hockey players. You know, Steve
Well,
Yzerman wasn't
Scott, what the hell
Motown.
else do we have in Detroit? Come on, man. The auto industry shit. The city's basically dying before COVID even hit. I mean, let us have the one small glimmer of things that we can hang our hat on. Shoot.
So Motown. All right, so what's the jersey that Mr. Motown could wear that would cause you to
Colorado
hate
Avalanche.
him? The Avalanche? Okay.
You put on an Av sweater and done. I'll cut you right in your face.
Scott, who is your favorite athlete, current athlete, any sport?
Oh, this is a tough one. I'm probably gonna go George Kittle, and if he was wearing a Raiders or Seahawks jersey, then it would kill me. Like absolutely kill me.
But what about if it's a Vegas Raiders jersey?
Wouldn't matter because
Doesn't
I don't want to hear Daniel's mouth one way or the other. He'd be like, "Oh, we got George Kittle," and all of a sudden it'd be his favorite player, and he'd talk him up, and it would be as if he went to Michigan. I just wouldn't be able to handle that. But if it was on Seattle, I don't even know any Seattle fans, but I wouldn't be able to handle seeing. Every time I see a former 49er in a Seattle jersey, a little part of me dies. So I'll go Kittle and either one of those jerseys.
Does it go
See
the
Pete
opposite
Carroll tap
way?
his butt.
Does it go the opposite way? Like when you see a former Seahawks in a Niners jersey, like Sherman, did you have to pull that 180 where you hated him and then all of a sudden it's like, oh no, he's cool, I love him.
Well, no, see, because here's my thing. I did hate Sherman, but it wasn't like an overnight thing. It wasn't, oh, they signed him and I'm good and everything's forgiven. It took a while. I would say about halfway through his first year before it was like, okay, I'm on board. And honestly, I mean, he's a Niner, so I'm embrace him, but I would never have a Sherman jersey. And I'll never, go super hard for him. Like I love him, but it's not the same type of love that I'd have for anybody else who never wore that jersey.
That's fair. I can understand that one. Scott chiming in as the unofficial stat guy of the show. I'm answering all questions in this chat. He says Lindor
Scott.
as a
We need
Yankee is the answer for this one. I mean, for him personally, yes, that would be the answer. Although Lindor is one of those guys, I do like Lindor as a player. And honestly, I don't even know if I'd lose any respect for him if he went to the Yankees, because he probably is going to the Yankees at the end of the season. He's already said he's not doing any contract talks with Cleveland this year.
Well, to be fair, though, has Lindor ever really felt like an Indian? Like,
No.
Ask Indians fans. Like, he's not one of those guys that have really thought, oh, he's Cleveland. Like those 95 Indians and like certain guys
Kenny
that
Lofton,
played there.
right.
Yeah, they feel a certain way. And Lindor, as good as he's been for Cleveland and as much as I know they love him, he's never felt like a Cleveland guy. So seeing him leave, I feel like wouldn't be that big of a deal to Cleveland.
Yeah, but
some of the other guys that have been there.
I feel like it's really hard in baseball to hold it against a guy when you go for making like what I don't know what Lindor is making now. Let's just call it $8-10 million a year, right? And then he goes to Yanks is going to be pulling down $35 million a year. Like for me in baseball, and again being a Tigers fan, it's kind of like it's a thing we go and drink beer at in the summer because that team is trash. But like when you like quadruple your net worth like that, can you really hold it against a guy? Whereas in other sports where there's okay. Moving on.
No, I mean, absolutely. If you sign with the Yankees, I don't give a shit what the reason. I still harbor ill feelings towards Brian McCann. He came back to the Braves and retired, and I still was just like, you've got that Yankee stench on you, man, and you willingly signed there. Like,
what if it's like the Bo Sox?
I don't give a shit. They're a necessary evil. I don't have anything against the Red Sox.
It's just the Yankees for Scott. So that's okay.
They exist to stop the Yankees from doing what they're doing. So once that happens, it's between the Mets and the Yankees. But the Red Sox, they're just kind of there. Like if it was like, oh, hey, they signed this free agent deal and it came down the Red Sox and the Yankees and they signed with the Red Sox, and be like, well, at least it wasn't New York.
So if they go to the Mets though, do you hate them the same way? Because you're like, yeah, but at the end of the day, he's stuck with the Mets organization. So jokes on you, chum.
I don't hate him the same way, but I'm just saying it's 1 and 2 as far as hatred goes. Like again, if they signed with the Mets, it'd be like, wow, that's a real kick to the dick. At least it wasn't the Yankees.
That's true.
I think for me in this one, current favorite athlete has to be Joey Votto, despite the fact that he's got that weird warm-up check swing that he does.
And he's Canadian.
He is Canadian, yeah. And actually, that was the one. If he had gone, I mean, I know the answer for any baseball fan is if they go to the Yankees or an in-division rival, but I was going to hate him if he went to Toronto. Like, I think it's more disrespectful to go from a small market team to like another small market team. Like, I would find more if he went to the Yankees, I could be like, well, at least he's trying to get money. Or
Right. Yeah,
if he went to the Cardinals, it's like, well, at least he's trying to get that ring. But if you went to like another team who had the same odds of winning the title and isn't making
but
much.
you'd be mad at him for going to the Blue Jays, because see, in that scenario, I'd be like, well, he went home. Like,
Still be mad. I'd still
He
be
needs
mad.
to
I'd be like,
back
you've
where he
lived
can get
here.
Labatt Blue and poutine and all
You've
that.
lived here
ketchup
long
chips.
enough. You've lived here long enough that this is home now.
No,
Forget that.
don't get me wrong. I mean, I get what you're saying, but like for me, it would be much less of an issue. I mean, Freddie Freeman, his mom was like French Canadian or whatever. He plays for the Canadian team in the World Baseball Classic.
French Canadian's not real Canadian.
Okay, fine, it's not. But I'm just saying, if he signed with Toronto, it'd be like, oh well, that sucks. But if he signs with New York, then wow, Freddie Freeman,
Dead to you.
dead to me.
Any all right.
Wait, real quick. Think about this story, right? Let's just play this out. Joey Votto goes, he signs with Toronto, right? He plays a month or two, is having a terrible season, then somehow forces a trade back to the Midwest. And it comes out later in the news that really the reason was because without that skyline running through and providing a diuretic, that's what ruined his game. Would that make it okay, Sherm?
No, because then he's just on the same level as Joe Burrow that you hate skyline. I got issues with that.
No, that's what I'm saying. He needs the skyline.
Oh, in that case, then
He needs the skyline to flush his system when he's shooting up and whatnot to be able to get that out of there so it doesn't test positive.
there's no way. If anybody's watched Joey Votto play in his career, there is no way that man is ever testing positive for anything. Not even like I don't even know what I'm trying to say.
He's
Anyway,
testing positive for boring as fuck.
yeah. I was trying to come up with personality. He wasn't even going to test positive for personality. I couldn't think because I was reading at the same time. Anyways,
we need to get that drop on the board. He white as mayonnaise. Because I feel like over the last 2 or 3 weeks, there's been at least a couple occasions I would have played well, and this was one of them.
yeah, that probably would.
He's boring as mayonnaise.
He is boring as mayonnaise. A favorite athlete all time. Let's go that route now. All time favorite athlete. Because I think it's Go ahead, Drew.
Someone else should start because I'm gonna bore the hell out of everyone again. Because I was sitting here thinking about this. I'm
Jesus.
like, God, I gotta figure this out. So
Scott-
but again, it's tough because I got the Lions, who Barry Sanders was great, but it wasn't my favorite athlete all time. The Tigers are whatever. Red Wings, I don't want to go to hockey twice. Notre Dame football, I love
Nobody
it.
wants you to hockey twice.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I ain't doing it. I don't see JB goddamn it popping up on the
But it's
chat,
not
so I
even your
can go
hockey
that route.
thing. It's just the fact that you don't know what Motown means. That's where
Oh
I'm like,
God.
you
Man,
never
you
talk
know
about
what? We're gonna
Motown.
have to have a talk after this, guy. Me and you. We're gonna just have to Crap Root Sports After Dark. I'm gonna have to hash this out because I'll tell you what. I took history of rock in college and I got a solid B, so I know what I'm about. All right, come at me. But all that aside, I hate to do it, but my favorite athlete of all time would have to be Thierry Henry, Arsenal player, Arsenal legend. And if he ever went to Man United, I would find him and cut his Achilles.
Should have stuck with hockey.
I could have.
Wait.
But Steve Eisman already left and came back, so we're already mending those fences, right? Like,
So
we're
wait, who was
repairing that
your
relationship.
favorite all time athlete? All time player?
He is a striker from Arsenal, a football club based in London, England. Nice. See, there we go. Look at this production value. How about that?
The fact that you have to describe who your favorite player is.
It's on the damn flag right here, dude. This shit's been hanging up here for a month and two months now. Ain't no one know nothing about that though. It's fine. It's fine. I get it. I see where I'm at here. It's okay. Let's go talk about the Reds some more, or some baseball, right? An OWG sport.
Scott, who's your favorite player all time?
Who cares?
I should just keep it straight Mookie style. I'm going to go Mark Lemke with the Braves. A second baseman from the mid-90s that nobody knows, and I have to describe.
But dude, he could turn to like nobody's business. Let me tell you what.
Okay, all right. Now that I've
Mine's
got that,
Corey Schneider from the Indians in the 80s.
You guys suck balls. Let me just say that right now. I'm trying to play along, be a good sport. I can't help who I like. I can't like the cards I was dealt growing up in Michigan in the 90s. At least I didn't say Tom Brady because his ass was in Ann Arbor the same time I was.
Okay.
That's a fair point. I'm glad you didn't.
First of all, when this question came up, my first thought was, does anybody even need to ask me this question? Like, seriously?
Well, there's
He's
a lot
my
of
favorite athlete of all time.
Yeah, that's a good point. So what jersey that Jordan could put on that you would hate him?
Lakers.
Yeah.
Period. If you wear a Lakers jersey, you're dead to me. And that was never a thing for Jordan. He wore that god awful, ugly early 2000s Wizards jersey, but nobody cares about that. That didn't happen. But yeah, if Jordan were for whatever reason to have ever put on a Lakers jersey, it would have been over for me.
I got to go with my favorite all time, and it's because I was influenced by him growing up. But Omar Vizquel was probably my favorite athlete growing up, just because I was young watching the Indians up in Northeast Ohio, and honestly, if he was on any other team, I probably wouldn't have even known who he was. It would have just been whoever on that Indians roster. So if he had a different jersey on, I don't think I would have cared at all. All right, so Matt Barr has a follow-up question to this one.
Wait, real quick. Robert Taylor's burning through our character count right now. Dude will not stop talking about Patty Mahomes. Like we're good. Like, hey, you see the side here? This shit he's gonna fill up the whole damn sidebar with Patty Mahomes talk, and I want to give Scott credit for not engaging. So good work, bud.
Well, to be fair, every single week, it doesn't matter what we're talking about. We could be talking about, how we cut our grass, and somehow he would bring up Mahomes. So it's not that hard to ignore. It's been, 2 years running? So.
All right, so Matt Barr wants to know.
By the way, JB is on here and calling out Corey Schneider from the New Jersey Devils. So thank you, JB, for showing up late, but had my back in the hockey talk. Appreciate it, bro.
Good hockey talk, fellas. Also great
ginger,
soccer
apparently.
talk. Great soccer talk today.
Soccer
Very proud of the soccer talk we
notch.
did. All right, so Matt Barr wants to know, now that we know who your all-time and your current favorite players are, you get one snap, they're gone, they're out, accolades, highlights, memories, everything is gone. Which one of those are you getting rid of? Scott, are you getting rid of Jordan or are you getting rid of Kittle?
Well, you said current and all time, but I know that the way that this question was posed, it just said in general. And I'm going to have to go with, if we go through each sport, it's like Jordan, Jerry Rice, Chipper Jones, and then I don't care for the rest of them. I'm going to have to go ahead and go with Chipper Jones, and that's only because the Braves probably still stumble into that 95 World Series victory without him. And as much as I love him, they didn't win shit else the entire time he was there. And while, I know Kittle's new and they, didn't win this year, there's still plenty of time. But looking at it, it's like without Jerry Rice, there's a few of those titles that they don't have, maybe all of them. And obviously Jordan, without Jordan, there's a lot less titles in Chicago. I don't give a shit about the team, but just the fact that he's got all those rings. So I would say if I had to Thanos snap anybody, it would be Jones. So
Fair enough. Drew, who are you Thanos snapping out of existence, out of your favorite players?
Let it be somebody we've heard of, please. You don't have to explain it.
Well, then that disqualifies my category of favorite players, but that's cool.
You mean you
Trey
can't
Aikman.
eliminate somebody from Motown?
No, because we ain't won shit, dude.
Oh, I don't know. I just was thinking about the fact that there's so many people that exemplify Motown that maybe you could eliminate one of them.
I mean, I'm not going to take the Supreme's gold records away from them. That'd be rude. Flexing that Motown knowledge right there.
Oh, man. The stream keeps dropping. We can't keep it together. What a shit show already, and we're only however many minutes. I don't even know what's happening anymore. But let's take a quick second and thank one of our sponsors on the show. We want to give a shout
when
out.
the stream's frozen, let's thank our sponsor. That's great timing, man.
It'll be back. It'll be back at some point. Look, I'm gonna have to do something with this later on. I might have to re-upload the video, just get rid of the live, just upload the video and do some. I don't know. We'll see. But anyways, we want to thank More Labs. All you got to do, everybody, go to morelabs.com, use the code SPORTS, and you can get 20% off your entire order. That's it. They got miracle drugs, help you get to sleep, help you get over a hangover, stuff that there it goes, just disconnected again. You get stuff to help you focus. More Labs has it all. All you got to do, morelabs.com, use the code SPORTS, and you're going to get 20% off your entire order. Thank you, Joe, again, for the properly timed sellout cue. Appreciate that. Yeah, Donnie saying
Joe's killing it this week.
He's really killing it. I just wish he could figure out what's going on with the stream and fix that. So, Joe, get on. Can you fix that? Thanks, man. All right, cool. All right, let's talk real quick. Here's a question that came in, an anonymous text. The idea has been floated that there may not be beer sales at NFL games this year. Would you go to a game if you can't have a beer? You good, Drew?
I know. Every time the stream drops, I have to watch some dumbass UNICEF ad.
I mean, if you just send them $5 a day, they'd be able to eat. But...
Yeah, because they give them those kids 10 cents of rice every day and eat another $4.90 for their friggin' charity foundation.
Where's Sally Struthers when you need her?
Man, you seen that South Park? She's all obese somewhere eating Twinkies and ho-hos.
That's why I bring her up.
So, anyways.
Would you go to an NFL game if you couldn't drink beer?
No. What is the point of that?
That's what I'm saying.
What is that helping?
I don't understand. So here's the reasoning behind it. This is why they said they would potentially do this. It'll limit trips to the bathroom where it's crowded and you can't really socially distance. It'll eliminate people standing close to each other in line at the concession stands. I mean, personally, I feel like it's just going to keep people away. Like, I would not go to an NFL game if I couldn't drink beer. I don't know if I'd go to any professional sports game if I couldn't drink beer.
I mean, that's fair. If we're at the point, though, where we're trying to keep people out of bathrooms and socially distance, why the hell are we having fans at sporting events? Like, you're going to be sitting 2 inches away from each other. Like, the way that some of these stadiums are set up, you can't not be on your neighbor's lap to watch the game because they're selling you a ticket for 10 inches of bench space.
Right.
Like, really, beer is where we're going to draw the line. Like, that's what's going to solve the problem. Get the hell out of here, man. Ridiculous.
Scott, would you go to a professional sports game if you couldn't drink beer?
Wait, no. Back up, because the question was...
Question is NFL. The question was NFL. Correct.
Yeah, and my thing is, I've been to 3 NFL games in my life. One of them was a preseason game, and the 2 others were Bengals-Cincinnati game, or Bengals-49ers games. And... I don't even like the NFL in person. So if you tell me I couldn't drink beer there, it doesn't change anything for me because I'm not going to all that many games anyway. So eliminate beer, add more. It is what it is. Like, NFL in person is one of the crappiest sporting events. I mean, like, come at me.
I would agree with you. It's not, and well, although part of the reason why I don't like NFL games live is because people are drunk assholes at NFL games. So if they're not drunk, then maybe they'd be a little bit more tolerable to be around. Greg chiming in saying, if we aren't drinking beer, we're gonna have water and soda and still need to use the bathroom. It makes 0 sense, and he's 100% right. The line of logic there that they have is completely stupid. Matt saying, I would go to an NFL game without beer. I would not go to a baseball game without beer. I don't know.
See, that's the thing. Like, baseball without beer, it becomes an issue because as much as I love baseball, baseball live without beer, it's a struggle. But like, just
what's the point?
The NFL in general is not a great live sport unless you're in certain spots, and so like that's for me, it's an easy call. It's like, I don't care.
Right. I wouldn't go. I'm with you, Scott. I struggle to make it anyways, just with, hashtag dad life. It ain't easy to do. All right, let's get to this one from Greg. Greg left us a voicemail. So I'm going to pull this one up and we can listen to Greg's voicemail and respond to this one.
Hey guys, Greg from the Sports Stand. Long-time listener, second-time caller. We got a situational question for you. Here it is. You're armed with an aluminum bat in a wide open field. And all of a sudden, a horde of zombie-like 10-year-olds are coming your way. How many can you take out with you and your aluminum bat before they overwhelm you? Discuss.
All right, in case you didn't hear it, you're in a field with an aluminum bat. A horde of 10-year-old zombies comes at you. How many can you take out before they overwhelm you? Drew, how many 10-year-old zombies are you taking out with a bat?
I feel like I could knock out a pretty good amount. Because just generally speaking, 10-year-olds are the worst. You know what I mean? Like they're young enough that you can't be mean to them and tell them how harsh life really is, and lay truth on them. But they're old enough to really be dicks and know it and get away with it. I mean, I guess the question is the concentration. You know what I mean? Like if they're coming every couple seconds,
It's a horde. It's a horde of them. It's
horde of
walking.
it?
It's Walking Dead style horde of zombies.
10-year-old. I could probably take out like 2 or 3 classrooms worth. Because you got to think about it, right? Like if one bites you on the arm, like you're not done. Like you're going to be a zombie eventually, but like you can keep on fighting.
2 or 3 classrooms
2
worth.
or 3 classrooms worth. Yeah.
Scott, how many of these 10-year-old zombies are you taking out?
As many as necessary. I hit 10-year-olds whether or not they're zombies to begin with. So, like, I don't know if the fact that they're zombies means that their heads are crushing easier or what, but I'm taking out as many as I need to survive. So bring on all the 10-year-old zombies. I'm knocking them all out.
I will say I appreciate that's aluminum bat because that's a little bit lighter to swing, so your stamina is not going to erode as quickly.
Definitely. You definitely get a little bit more stamina on it.
Plus, you get that nice.
I'm also wondering too. Right. No, I'm also wondering too. It's like, are you coming into this equipped with an Easton, or you got that Louisville Slugger where you're like, all right, I'm good to go. I got this set. Because I mean that changes thing. If I got just a generic metal bat, I might not be able to take as many. But if I got a Louisville Slugger, all of them, bring them all.
Yeah. Does the bat dent over time? Because that has it. Or maybe you could flatten it down into more like a sword if you keep smacking them on either side of it, and then you're just chopping.
Are they wearing Yankees jerseys? Because again,
there you go.
All of them.
Get all the rage.
Then Scott goes rage mode and just Hulk style, just rips his shirt off, blacks out.
I was just gonna say I black out, and then all of a sudden I wake up and I just see hordes of zombies in Yankees jerseys, and I'm like, what the hell happened? Oh, I survived. Good deal.
God, I really hope Scott's kid is never in a little league where they wear MLB jerseys.
I will pull him out. I will pull both of them out if they're ever like, your son's on the Yankees. I'm like,
no, I'm not worried about that,
He's
Scott.
not in the league.
I'm worried about you just going bloody murder on the when they play the Yankees team. You know what I mean?
Like, what happens when your kid loses to the Yankees?
Yeah.
Either way, I'm killing them all.
I'm glad we have that documented.
This is a great time for the stream to drop, huh?
It's actually staying strong right now. It's looking good at this point.
Not on my iPad, but whatever. Who gives a shit then? I might as well just close this.
Look, just
call it a day.
Yeah, we'll figure it out afterwards. Don't worry about it. Let's just get through. All right, this one came to us from. By the way, I would only be able to take out like 10 before I got tired and was just like, "Fuck it, I'm dying anyway. Screw it," and I just lay down. At that point, I wouldn't even care. All right, at Cornerstone Cap on Twitter wants to know: would you rather spend another year quarantined by yourself, but you get to watch sports?
Yes.
Or spend a year without sports, but you're not quarantined by yourself. So Scott, you're fine being quarantined for a year as long as you get to watch sports.
I didn't need you to finish asking the question. No. Yes, absolutely. If I have sports, myself, a TV, and now do we have beer for that? Because
see, that's what I was going to say. I need some clarification.
Now that's a little bit dicey.
Not included. That was not included in the tweet, but let's change this up. You get a year quarantined by yourself. You get to watch sports. No beer.
Do I get food?
Yeah, you get food.
Then we're making some Pruno, Scott. We'll be fine. It's
all
cool.
you get
We're
is
good.
the essentials to live. You get food and water and a place to stay.
So Scott, we'll make beer. It's fine. It is fine.
How are you going to make
like
beer? You don't get to. Oh, like we're in prison. You're going to get
like we're in prison. We'll make some Pruno. It'll be fine.
Toilet wine.
Goddamn right.
I'm making special.
That works too. You didn't say we couldn't grow shit.
Right.
That's fair. That's a fair point. I had this realization the other night. Like it was like Friday night, and I was sitting there like, man, if this wasn't quarantine, I'd probably be sitting in this exact same spot just watching a Reds game. Like there would be no difference.
A whole lot different. Yeah.
I'm not. The only thing I'm missing out on is like getting the kids out of the house. That's the only thing I'm really missing with quarantine life. Of like, hey, let's go to the zoo and you guys can walk around and then you'll be tired for nap time. That's it. Outside of that, I'm kind of all right just chilling in quarantine as long as I get to watch it. All right.
It's not a hard decision really. I mean, get down to it.
All right, this one was a good tweet. I think you guys will like this one. This one came from @4behind. What golfer, dead or alive, would you want to play a round of mini golf with? Yes, mini golf, clown mouth and all.
John Daly.
Yeah, that's the only answer, right? That's
Only
the only answer. Scott, would you change the John Daly answer?
That's a pretty solid one, but I'm still going Tiger, just so he could whoop my ass, and I could ask all the questions, though. I'm like, what is it like to be Malaysian? And really, Perkins? Come on, bro. Like, I mean, that's the only reason. It would be all the ancillary stuff that I'm like, so what was it like backing into that tree? How was Eland's right hook? Like,
Well, I was gonna say, was it really a 3-wood? Or did she come at you with that wedge?
like, otherwise the answer is John Daly, but specifically to just ask all the ridiculous questions, I'm going to Tiger.
It would be pretty damn fun to ask Tiger those questions, but I feel like Tiger would be the type of douchebag that like takes mini golf way too seriously. That he wouldn't answer your questions. He would be like ignoring you, focusing on he's like, I gotta line this up. Can you please stop talking during my backswing? It's like, bro, this is mini golf. Can you not be a douchebag right now?
So what you're saying is it'd be Michael Jordan playing with you.
Yeah. Did you see Jordan beat Brooks Koepka in a golf match? Apparently, Brooks Koepka had a story where he talked shit to Jordan because he was winning in a match, and then Jordan proceeded to beat him.
Dude, that is embarrassing.
This is a goddamn
That
professional
is so
golfer.
Embarrassing. and I'll say this from the Last Dance. I mean, he ain't Chuck, but it didn't look like Jordan had a beautiful swing.
He plays enough though.
I thought his swing was fine, but his putting was.
That's what I was gonna say. He missed that 8-footer and was all pissed about it. I was like, or Michael, you just kind of stepped up and whacked that thing. Like, you gonna get a read on it at all? You gonna look at the the break in and everything? You're just gonna whack it and hope it goes in.
To be fair, that's what I do every night. Just whack it and hope it goes in.
Heyo.
Yeah, I think John Daly is the correct answer here. And Scott also chiming in on the chat saying it's for sure John Daly.
So how many hookers would John bring with him to the putt-putt course?
None, but he would bring like Hooters waitresses and a flask. That's what he would bring with him to the putt-putt course.
Would he a flask though? I feel like he'd have a handle with him.
He would. Well, he can't.
He'd just be like, "Why bother?"
He
Right?
can't hide that in his bag. He's not gonna just walk around. Nah, he would walk around with the handle.
No, he would walk around with it because he's gonna be like, "Well, I'm not driving a golf cart, so I can't get a Dewey that way. We're walking."
Greg said that Jordan was definitely feeding Brooks a few drinks: 1 tequila, 2 tequila, 3 tequila, bogey. Let's talk real quick. Last Dance, Scott. Episodes 5 and 6 this week. They talked Dream Team. We also got the Shrug.
Yes.
We saw the Shrug in this one. How'd you like 5 and 6?
Well, I held up without getting near tears, so that's a good start.
Good. Did you come in your pants
Really?
though?
Did I what?
Did you come in your pants? Because that's the other Scott reaction to.
Oh,
Yeah, that's what I thought. That Shrug, you were like, goo.
I did get a little excited because the Shrug game was one of those ones where it was like, I love it. But no, I will say that I think that out of all the episodes that have aired so far, 5 was the absolute best between everything that happened, the interviews they got, the way it was edited. It almost seemed like the first 4 were produced or edited by somebody else because 5 was just on another level. And 6 was good too, but I think 5 was my favorite episode of all 6 so far.
What's your favorite part from 5 and 6? Is it the security guard who was gambling with Jordan and then hit him with the Shrug when he
God.
won?
I'm about to have that haircut by the end of this all this shit. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
If I
I'm
could
trending
grow
that
hair,
way.
I would do that.
Yeah. Oh no, I don't. It's not intentional. It's gonna be reality. Also, I love that game though. Throwing the quarters at the little corner, or whatever.
That's fantastic. Yeah, that's a fantastic game. And that tells you what a degenerate gambler Jordan is. I kind of didn't like that, the way that the whole gambling thing was portrayed. You can tell Jordan has a hand in this documentary because it was like, no, nothing. Everything's on the level. It's all fine. I don't have a problem. I can quit. It's like, do you really?
But
Do you really, though?
he did make some very salient points. If he had a gambling problem, his wife would have left him.
Well, no. I actually chuckled because that wasn't the part that I thought was like, come on, Mike. It was, I'd be, I wouldn't have any possessions. I would have lost my house. It was just all those things, which is like, that might be true, but you can definitely still have a gambling problem with all those things not happening. Also, I personally know some stories about MJ and his wife where I'm like, your wife leaving you wouldn't have been that big of a deal because
Well, yeah, I figured that too. She was like, that's why I was looking at it. Why would she leave you when you're the cash cow, right?
Yeah, I mean,
like
Juanita wasn't going anywhere until she could make sure she got it.
Yeah, that whole part was complete tomfoolery. I was like, dude, this is clearly Jordan trying to overcompensate for something here.
I will say though that I text my brother and my cousin on the group chat that we have, and my cousin is a super Kobe fan, and I was like, "Hey guys, I know you saw this week, The Last Dance. It continues to get better and better." I was like, "It was so good this week that Kobe came back from the dead just to do an interview."
Oh, bro. Oh, dude, that's harsh as hell.
And my brother said, "Too soon," and I thought, I mean, is it though? I mean,
Yes, you jackass.
Damn. By the way, Javi pointing out what I had put out on Twitter as well on Sunday night. He said the soundtrack is so good, and I think that's what makes this documentary fantastic. This soundtrack is hands down the best soundtrack of any documentary I've ever heard. It is,
but it started with
so
5,
I
think, more so than the
no,
first
the whole thing, like from the start. This soundtrack has been fantastic.
It was good, but I'm like in 5, it seemed like it kicked it up a notch. Like I don't know
something changed in 5 where they hit their stride or whatever.
Well, you know what I think
it is
weird.
Producers or what?
No, I think
5 was different.
They've been editing episodes up until like the last week or so. Like they were still working on 5 and 6 when 1 and 2 debuted. So I think it's just a matter of they've had more time. They pushed this timeline up from June to April, and I think they probably had to rush through 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then they had a little bit more time with 5, 6. So I think going forward we're going to see a little bit tighter editing, a little bit better production value.
I guess that makes sense because they do have some newer footage too, and because I'm gonna say, what the hell what's taking so long? This shit's old as hell. But they've got some more, when were the Jordan interviews shot? You know what I mean? The ones where, by the way, I love the fact that he's sitting there in that chair and next to him he's got a big ass stogie and a bottle of bourbon, or a glass of bourbon.
Except that you'll only see him smoking a stogie in one episode because his mom got mad. So they have removed him smoking a cigar from any of the other episodes.
Okay.
Wait. Any of the
in 5 and 6.
Hold on, the archive footage?
No, like his interviews.
His
interviews. Yeah, his interviews.
Because I was gonna say,
because he was sitting
single old.
No, he was sitting there in his interview, like smoking a stogie, and his mom got pissed, and they were like, "Yeah, we're not using that the rest of the time now." Because that's the hand that he has in this documentary. He's like, by the way, if it's me smoking during an interview, don't use it.
Oh no, that ain't him. That's Mama. Right. You mean to tell me that the producer can tell Jordan's mom no?
There was one more underrated part that I feel like nobody caught except for I laughed hysterically at it. Even Cheryl was like, "What was so funny?" When they're on the golf course. This was episode 6, and it happened so quickly, and it was so fast that if you could easily miss it. But the golf carts are driving past the camera. And Ron Harper was out there with them, and he just says, "This bud's for you," as he's driving past the camera. And it was the most random, hilarious moment that nobody would highlight. Like nobody would say, did you catch that part? But I laughed so hard because at the beginning when they showed Ron Harper getting in the golf cart,
oh my God,
sitting on Jordan's lap.
Oh God, that was great. I was shocked that golf cart drove. I mean, because it was Jordan, it was Ron Harper, it was like a caddy or a concierge looking dude. There were 2 golf bags on the back, and then another guy on the back of the golf cart. And I'm like, this shit ain't gonna move. There's no way that that half a horsepower can get that shit off the ground, and the thing just took off.
Yeah, and then just the fact that Ron Harper comes back past and just said, "This bud's for you." It was just this random thing that I just laughed my ass off at.
So I was gonna ask Scott now. How do you feel after seeing the scene with Jordan, Pip, and them drinking Miller Lite after the game.
I did laugh because I thought, damn,
Miller
Mike,
Lite.
you're the best in the world and you're drinking shit beer? Come on,
and I guess it was, what was that? That was the earlier. It was one of the earlier series or whatever. So it was like early '90s. But I mean, still, Miller?
I love the story that Jordan told though, where he was like, yeah, these guys used to drink a case at halftime and smoking cigarettes that they got from the coach. I was like, damn, I would love to see some of those.
Well, that was
those
another one of those
archive
moments,
footages.
though, that was like earlier where Jordan, walked in. Oh, you guys are gambling. I'm out. I don't want any part of this. And he says, "Oh, they're drinking and smoking at halftime. I had to believe, but weren't you too? 'Cause
Right.
I feel like if the whole team was, you probably were too.
He probably was doing it more, right? Because he's going to be the one being beat, right?
Like
They-
smoking, I doubt. Like I don't think that he was smoking, but it's like
I
if
don't
anybody
see him
was
smoking
drinking
cigarettes,
beers at
but- oh, yeah.
halftime, Jordan was in.
By the way, Javi pointing out 9 and 10 still aren't done. They're still working on episodes 9 and 10 on this.
Seriously?
Yeah, so
When was this supposed to be released?
it was supposed to be released
July?
in June.
June. I was gonna say
June.
June was supposed to be the start, and that was the whole thing. When people started clamoring for this thing to start, ESPN was like, "But 9 and 10 aren't done yet, so we've got to kind of work around that." And I think they figured, well, we've got plenty of time, which they will. They'll finish it and it'll be fine. But that was the whole hang up before.
You know that director is, you want to talk
Yeah.
about somebody chain smoking. That dude is just ripping through butts, like constantly smoking, sitting in a dark room trying to get this editing done, freaking the F out.
I mean, video editing and producing is really not that hard, right? It's something you can just do quick.
I
Scott?
do it
kinda
every
whips
day.
it
It's no big deal. There's nothing to it. Although, if you're in a time crunch for these episodes, just throw on the highlights, throw on some Biggie, and nobody will notice anything. Because if it's like me, I'm just sitting there, and every time they just do the like strictly highlights parts, where they're like, okay, here's the game, and they're just showing everything that Jordan does. I'm mesmerized by that, and then they throw on a track that I like, and I'm completely
Yep,
lost.
you're-
It's like,
yeah.
wait, what is happening?
I will say this. So I think some of this has colored my. I want to ask you guys
Whoa,
this.
whoa, back up.
Oh God,
Careful.
sorry.
Be
My
careful.
apologies. It has changed my perception
There you
of
go.
reality to be somewhat different than I had thought before. But more seriously, the whole Jordan versus LeBron debate, like how has this changed your perception of this? Because I don't think I've seen them as different players because of it. I think if anything else, it's shown how much more transcendent than the sport Jordan was and what he did to the game of basketball plus athletics in general. And like, dude was literally head and shoulders above anyone else in the league. Like there was no one else that was even close to Jordan's level. Whereas LeBron right now, or even maybe 5 years ago when he's more in his prime, there are still people you could have that debate, KD, whatever, of like, oh, there's people that are close to him. But I will also say, before I let you answer, the shrug cracked me up because it was no one else has hit 5 3-pointers in a finals game before. And I was like, oh, well, like Steph done that like 9 times now. But again, different game. But it just kind of shows too, like how much it changed since then to now.
See, I
And so,
think
like, how has this changed your perception of the two?
I think this just has more fully ingrained me in the idea that you can't compare athletes from different eras. You can't say one is better than the other because it's a totally different game now. LeBron was clearly influenced by Jordan, so you have to wonder if they were coming up at the same time. Is LeBron able to do the same stuff? Because clearly what he's doing is all about, based on what he saw Jordan do while he was growing up. Jordan kind of revolutionized things, but then you also get the thing that drives me crazy is the debate where it's like, oh, LeBron wouldn't have hacked it in the 90s because those guys were rough and they would have fouled him and he would have cried. And it's like, no, that's just because this is the product of the game that he grew up in. Like if LeBron grew up back then, he would be the one pounding on people, and he actually probably wouldn't be the same player that he is today because he'd be a big body that they'd be like, yeah, we're going to put you in the center. You're going to be the center position. You're just going to stand there and rebound because you're bigger than everybody else on the court.
You're going to go whack Chuck.
Right.
Who was an MVP, by the way?
By the way, Matt
about
Barr,
that
I just
too.
want to point out Matt Barr is making the excellent statement that Mookie coming in with a real coherent take about Jordan being head and shoulders above everyone else. Does he know what podcast he's on? Did you black out? Did you forget that this isn't. We're not supposed to have real takes here.
I mean, this beer was 8%.
Just get him back talking on Motown, and
Yeah.
we'll get back off track.
I hear Jordan's a real Motown dude. I hear he's got the.
I think the only thing so far that has stood
Big
out to me, and
band, you
again,
know
it
it.
was like big band, Jesus.
Hey, that's Chi-Town.
That it stood out because it was episode 5. Was that I don't think I ever really fathomed how overwhelmed Jordan got with like being Jordan. Like I know we talked about the whole gambling thing, and but it's like it really did seem like through the footage you see, like you could see where it was wearing on him, doing it over and over,
Yeah.
night after night, and having to perform. And they were talking about I think it was. I can't remember if it was Ahmad Rashad or who it was, but they were talking about how it's like he wasn't just on the court. He had to do everything off the court. And when he walked out of the room, he was like bombarded and
right.
everything. Like, could you imagine having to do that night in, night out, and having to be this like icon and be perfect? And then, on top of that, they're beating him down with all this gambling stuff. And whether or not it was true and whether or not he had the problem and all that, it didn't matter. It's the fact that he had to answer all those questions night in and night. Like, I could totally see how somebody would get burnt out. And that's where, when you look at it like a LeBron, Jordan was, doing everything that he needed to do to be the greatest. And then when he reached that point where it's like, all right, I'm here, but it's exhausting, he wanted to like take a break and take a step back. Whereas LeBron, because he was chasing Jordan, like there is no time to take any time off. Like he had to keep going and he just keep pushing because, in order to be like Jordan, you have to do something extraordinary that nobody's ever done. And so, I could imagine like LeBron having that motivation to keep pushing himself, but Jordan, he even said, he's like, it kind of waned after he won that third one. It was just like, well, what the hell else do I do?
Well, and I think that's part of it too, though. Like earlier, we were saying, like Jordan paved the way, right? So when LeBron was coming up in high school and stuff, he was on SI's cover and stuff like that. And so, like, Jordan was probably the first one that had to deal with all that stuff, all that hype, all that whole. When I walk out of this hotel room, I remember that scene so vividly. He was laying on a couch, stretched out, smoking a cigar, and he's like, "This is it. I'm gonna just sit in here, watch TV all day, and that's all I want to do. Because if I leave this room, shit's gonna be crazy." And it's true. It was nuts. It was such a burden to be him. But because of him trailblazing and kind of being that guy, that even though LeBron still has that same kind of burden on him, at least it was kind of like known. It wasn't one of those things where he stumbled into this super mega fame. Is like, oh shit, every time I leave my house, the hotel, there's people everywhere waiting for me. And like, I can't imagine having to deal with that, but at least LeBron kind of knows what he's gotten into, and athletes now have a sense of that. Whereas Jordan would seem like the first one, whereas like all those demands on his time. Cause like, I get it, man. When he said the trip to Atlantic City when they were playing the Knicks in the series, like, okay, first of all, they didn't get back at 12:30 or 1. But I ain't gonna fault him for that. I mean, you're in AC, you might as well take advantage of it. But I truly believe it was like, look, man, I don't want to go anywhere in New York because there's gonna be people up my ass trying to get me to, sign this, ask that, answer these questions, do this, whatever. I believe him. His dad was probably like, look, son, you need to just get out and get a breath and get some fresh air in Atlantic City, which is hilarious because it's AC. But still, I think there's a part of it too that's absolutely true. It's like, look, man, I don't have a gambling problem. I have a fame problem, and gambling helps me deal with it.
That's a fair point. As always, our Jordan Talks brought to you by MyBookie. Use the promo code 12ounce sports.
Nice.
That's 12OZ Sports. Get a 100% deposit bonus up to $1,000. Be sure to tune into all of the gambling shows here on 12 ounce and then put that knowledge to practice on MyBookie. Make sure to use the promo code 12ounce sports, 12OZ Sports, to get the bonus. You can find their banners and links on every page of the station site at www.12ouncesportsradio.com.
MyBookie brought to you by Motown. Keep it Motown with random white guys, because that's what Motown is.
All right, we got a couple minutes. We got time for a few questions here. This one came from Rome. He wants to know, what's the worst state in the USA and why is it Ohio? I find that a little rude.
No argument here.
I mean, Ohio is a shitty state, but the worst, is Ohio the worst state? Of course, the Michigan guy says Ohio is the worst state. But
At least we know how to recycle, asshole.
I wouldn't even say Michigan's the worst state. I'm gonna go with the state that you can like forget about, like North Dakota. Like
But see, that's just rude. Okay, what'd they do to you, man?
they just I don't know anything about them, so screw.
It's funny because I'm sitting there thinking, as soon as somebody says worst state, and you're talking about a state that doesn't matter, I immediately think about the state that this beer came from. I'm like, Montana has got to be one of those states where it's just like,
That's where my head went first.
There's
Now,
nothing there.
I think Montana raises a lot of our beef, so let's be nice to Montana.
Yeah.
Isn't Motown? Weren't they born in Montana? Motown, Montana. That's
Man, the next time I see him, I'm gonna smack you in the face.
All right. This next question.
6 feet apart.
This next question is
I'll
probably
get one of those reacher things.
This next question is probably going to take up the rest of the time.
Swatter.
So let's do this one. This came in as a text. One's got to go. We've all seen these one's got to go things coming around. Somebody hit us up with one's got to go. Biggie, Pac, Jay-Z, or Eminem. Tough call on this one. Scott, you, I believe, said you already have your answer locked and loaded. Who do you got going away on this one?
Pac, you got to go.
Wow. Really?
Like I know that like when you look at it, it's a tough foursome, but Pac's got to go for me. Like I love California. That's my second home. I'm a big Tupac fan, but ironically enough, during the East Coast West Coast wars, I was all about some Biggie, and Jay-Z. It was bred from Biggie, and then Eminem. I mean, he's the white Jay-Z, so
he's Motown. You got to keep that.
Yeah, I mean, he's 8 Mile is Motown. So.
I expected you to pick him after having your actual convictions to throw that in my face. But, wow.
Well, no, you guys are the racist ones, so I wasn't going to eliminate the only white guy.
That's rude.
Yeah, so I kind of went the other way. I was thinking I'd get rid of Biggie because I had enough East Coast influence with Jay-Z, and that way I still have West Coast rap with Pac, I have East Coast rap with Jay-Z, and then Eminem from the Midwest, so I'm still represented across the country. So I would have gotten rid of Biggie. Plus, if you get rid of Biggie, that means we don't ever have to see Puff Daddy, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with not seeing Puffy.
Yeah, but if you get
Sean,
rid of Biggie, do
Diddy?
you get Jay-Z?
P. Diddy.
That you don't. That's the thing.
Yes,
like,
you
you
do.
don't
Yes,
need
you
Biggie
still
to
no,
get Jay-Z.
no. Jay-Z would still. There's why do we have this idea that like a talent won't rise up and figure it out on their own without somebody setting the course before them? Of course, Jay-Z would still
having some other whack ass talent. The New York rap wouldn't be what it is.
And not only that, I mean, because without Dr. Dre, we don't have Eminem, and that's because he found Eminem. I mean, so the idea.
Well, but that's different. That's different than somebody finding. No. What you're saying, we wouldn't have Jay-Z without Biggie. We absolutely could still have Jay-Z without Biggie. Jay-Z could still do the exact same thing he did. He would just be the first one. He would be the Biggie. You know what I mean? Like he'd be the one blazing the trail. You can't say
we wouldn't have New York rap. We'd have like ATL rap instead.
I mean, we still have ATL rap. That's still a thing, right? It's just not as
okay.
popular.
It's actually
Luda?
called Southern rap. But...
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. I didn't want to get like that whole Bubba Sparks crap mixed up in there with all
Well,
that.
nobody counts
No, but like, hang on.
I don't know, man.
But for real, are you guys telling me that Jay-Z is not talented enough that he wouldn't have been able to figure it out on his own? He needed Biggie first?
It's not that. No, it's not they wouldn't figure it out. It's that he wouldn't be what he is today without the forefathers of his I don't know, borough area, whatever you want to call it, his style.
Well, then with that line of thinking, then anybody
Goddamn
from the West
UNICEF.
Coast wouldn't be there without Pac. So any West Coast rap is gone after Pac. Like you
No,
I
can't.
didn't say
I
to get rid
mean-
of Pac.
I mean, I for sure think that there's, some. It's just like one of those things where when you're looking at it, if this is a Mount Rushmore, you've got the two contemporaries and then you got the two classics, and like it almost seems like the two contemporaries don't exist without the other two. But if you're only going to eliminate one, the reason that I eliminate Pac is when you look at their careers, like the two contemporaries have their whole careers, they weren't ended temporarily. But when you look at the two who were ended prematurely, who had the bigger shining star? And I'm giving that to Biggie. Like Pac just comes up short. It's like it's not that he's bad. It's just out of those four, he ends up being the lowest one on the totem pole for me. Like outside of like Dear Mama and California Love, there's a whole lot of stuff that I'm just like, when it comes to Pac.
What? Hit him up? Come on.
Yeah, I mean,
Come
Hit 'em Up's
on.
fine, but again, like Biggie comes on so much more, where it's just
man.
like, oh, this is an absolute banger. Where like Pac has some of those ones thrown in there where I'm just like,
Are we prisoners of the moment, kind of? The fact that we refuse, like both of us are just like, it's either Biggie or Pac. It's definitely not Jay-Z or Eminem. Like those two are
Oh,
golden
no.
and stay.
We
Oh no,
definitely are,
I'd
because
get rid
I
of
think-
Jay-Z or Eminem before either of those other two.
Who are you didn't answer yet, did you, Drew? Who are you getting rid of? Are you getting rid of Jay-Z or Eminem? I mean, it's not going to be Eminem because he's Motown, so it's got to be Jay-Z.
Well, see now you're gonna be a dick, and I was like, well, I'm gonna have to get rid of Eminem just to show I'm not Motown biased.
Well, to be fair, like if you ask, most super hip hop fans, they're gonna be like, "Oh, it's Eminem easily." But
Yeah,
again, the reason I think it's not Eminem, or like just for me, it's like I grew up with Eminem. He's a different style than the other three, and so like the other three are very similar across the board.
the problem is though, and this is I was gonna say Jay-Z in pre-show, but now talking about it and thinking about it more, I would say I would get rid of Eminem because Jay-Z spawned more offshoots, right? If we're going coaching tree style, right? Jay-Z's more Bill Belichick than Eminem. Eminem's maybe more like Mike Leach.
That's a little bit low. I mean, he's got more than Cliff Kingsbury on his resume.
Who did Eminem give birth to that has had staying power that
50?
that isn't 50 broke ass cent?
Well, who else?
Actually, Eminem brought along quite a few himself. It's hard because
he
if you're looking
did.
at but if you're looking at it as who has the same style as Eminem, nobody. And that's
no
why
one
I
does,
keep him in that foursome, like out of that foursome, because he's the most unique of the four. Like he may not be the answer when you're talking about like lyrically or content ones or whatever, but if you're just like, okay, I'm gonna listen to these four, but one of them I have to skip over. I'm taking out Pac because Biggie to me is like the gold standard, and then
Yep.
Jay-Z and Eminem are just what I grew up with, and so it's like Pac just by default. It's not that any of them are bad. It's again, if you're looking at Mount Rushmore, if one of them's got to go, they all have their place, but you've got to pick
Right.
one of them to get rid of. Pac to me is the one that just I could do without.
All right, Final Four style rap battle. Who comes out on top?
Wait, they're battling in this one?
Yeah, battling.
What do you? What's your seeding?
I mean, it's 1v1, right? So we got to bracket it. Oh shit, we got two here. They battle, and then winner, right? Who comes out on top of all those?
What's your bracket? Is it Biggie versus M, Pac versus Jay-Z?
Let's go. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, let's go. Jay-Z, Biggie, right, for New York.
And then
Eminem
Pac
versus
M?
Tupac. Winners meet in the final.
I don't know if I've seen enough battle. I've seen 8 Mile, so I feel like my viewpoint is skewed here because I would totally pick Eminem just because of 8 Mile
Wait,
to
you mean
win
you
it
haven't
out.
seen Malibu's Most Wanted too?
Oh, I have seen Malibu's Most Wanted.
Yeah,
That's a
there you
really
go.
good action movie. But I would probably go. I would go with M beating Pac in a battle rap and Jay-Z beating Biggie in a battle rap.
Yes. Well, and it's tough because battle rapping's so different.
It's totally different.
Yeah, like actual, putting it on record rapping. And so Eminem wins in a battle rap against Pac, I guess. And that's, again, only because I know more about Eminem's battle rapping career. But if you're talking about just straight lyrical content, like of the four, Eminem probably loses.
See, that's where I disagree. I feel like if you're talking true lyrical content, I think it's M and Pac at the top, and then it's Jay-Z at the bottom because he's all about the production value and all that.
I don't know if lyrical content puts M at the top, but writing puts M at the top. His the way he writes is totally unique and absolutely amazing, but the content isn't necessarily there. Look at Square Dance. He made a whole there's a whole verse where he doesn't say anything. It's just gibberish, but it sounds amazing because that's how he wrote it. Like there's a difference between his content and what his writing style is.
Well, that's fair, but that's
This
what
is-
puts and see. And this is
I
where
did
have a
not
problem
think
with
this was going to
Scott's
get this in
take,
depth,
because
by the way. This
the
is
rose,
insane.
the rose that grew from concrete, man. That shit is straight poetry.
I actually think that if we're going on just like pure talent and you're just basing it solely on that, I think it goes Biggie, Jay-Z, Pac, and then Eminem. And I love Eminem, but the other three, like Biggie is a star that we never got to see shoot as far as it possibly could. Like I honestly believe that Biggie would have been like the MJ of rap if he was still alive. And then, Pac again, died too soon, and he's, I don't want to say Kobe because that's a slap in the face, as I don't like Kobe, but I'm just thinking of the West Coast version. But I mean, so it's like the closest thing you've got to Biggie. And then Jay-Z, he's never written anything down like in his life. And I mean, as talented as Eminem is, he's either had to write things down, or as it goes like just pure talent level.
Are you telling me right now that Jay-Z just keeps all his shit in his head?
I mean, according to him, he's never written anything down. Like everything he's ever done, he's just come up with off the top of his head. And I mean, there's people that have, testified to that, like where it's just like he doesn't write things down. I mean, Eminem's notebook got stolen at one point, so we know he writes shit down. I don't know as far as Biggie and Tupac either, but I imagine that they did.
Well, yeah, because Eminem grew up in Detroit. They have a quality public school system. Of course, he wrote it down.
Well, and when you're in Motown, you're required to write it down.
Yeah, exactly.
So you need to
gotta
show
make sure that your beats match the measure, man.
You got to show your work. Like
Yeah,
you
exactly.
can't just show up with the answers. You got to show your work.
Jesus, let's get into last call. This is last call brought to you by Tavor. Use the code 258023 on the payments and credit screen for $10 off your second order. Again, 258023 for $10 off. Only at Tavor. Stock up your beer fridge right now. It's no contact delivery. They just drop it off. You sign for it. It's all good. Hit them up. Download the app right now, 258023. This week we were drinking Never Say Die, an 8%. Speaking of Biggie and Pac, West Coast, East Coast style IPA. This one joined the two together. And Scott, how did it hold up for you?
This was the best action movie beer I've ever had. That's what I got for you. If you're looking for an action movie beer, this is your beer.
Drew, do you agree that this is the best action movie beer you've had?
Yeah, it left me wanting a little because it just makes me reminisce and think about how Tupac and Biggie were trying to solve the East Coast, West Coast divide, but it ended too soon. And I only had one of these beers, and I wish I had more. Because damn it, this shit was good.
I agree. It is so hoppy, but the fact that it's got
smooth.
that New England style, oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Never Say Die from Imagination Brewing in Missoula, Montana. Be sure to check them out. You can find them on Tavor. Download the app 258023 on the payments and credit screen and get $10 off your second order. Fellas, this was a train wreck of a show.
It really was.
Hands
This
down.
show was fucked, man.
Hands down, like the stream, and I apologize. Thank you to all of you that stuck with it and moved from stream to stream as it ended and started and ended and started. Thank you. I apologize. I don't know what happened. We'll get it fixed. I'll get something. Hopefully, it's all.
We might underestimate the amount of effort people want to put in to talk shit to us.
That's a good point.
Thank you for folks out there keeping us honest and telling us.
I
how
was
much-
impressed because I didn't even skip from stream to stream
Nope.
fast enough.
Nope. As soon as I saw it disconnect, I was like, well, we're screwed. So thank you guys very much. We really appreciate it. It is awesome to see you follow from stream to stream. Even I know Scott at one point was like, I'm sorry, I'm out. I'm tapping out. We'll fix it. I'll get a full video uploaded to Facebook. If you want to go back and check it out, we'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for sharing us out. You have no idea how much it helps when you hit that share button, when you comment, when you like. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcasts. Follow along with us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We're at Craft Sports. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Shout out to 12 Ounce Sports Radio. All kinds of craziness today, so I apologize. for the
Doing
streaming
Motown
issues.
before we leave.
Attaboy, Scott. Attaboy. Also, we'll be sending out a link to go ahead and place complaints with Mike's ISP to get his shit figured out. Because I'm almost convinced they're throttling his bandwidth, and that's just not okay. This is
That's
America,
a very
people.
real possibility. Thank you guys for tuning in. We will be back next week. Cheers, everybody.
Peace, we out.